Okay, everybody, I think we can go ahead and get started here. I'll start by introducing myself here. My name is Tom. I am with the Finish Line Software. I set up the projects, I do training, and I also do tech support. So if you guys have any questions at any time, you can always call me at other times. Also, during this whole show here, you guys can go ahead and stop me anytime and ask questions if you have any questions. And today we're going to kind of do a mock walkthrough on our demo site and create items and show how to create reports and favorites and duplicates and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll learn something new, and also we can kind of refresh the things you already know. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? All right, we'll go ahead and get going. I'm going to go ahead and bring my iPad up here. So I've got a bunch of projects here, including our Finish Line project here. So I'm going to go ahead and log into Finish Line here for today's demo. When you first log in on a tablet, it brings up two different screens here. We'll have our top screen here, which shows the floor plan, and we call that our plan view. And then we've got our list view underneath, which is a list of any items that are created in that area. So you can change these windows. There is a small tab in between them that you can grab onto, and you can drag that little bar up and down, and you can change the sizes of the windows here. So you can expand the plan view if you want and shrink the list view if you want. You can also change these views by clicking on this icon in the top right with the three lines on it. When I click on that, the first option there is screen layout. And here you've got four options. We do have one that says full plan view. If I click on that one, it hides the list of items underneath and just fills the screen with the plan view or the floor plan there. We also have an option under that screen layout that you can choose, which is full list view. If you choose that one, it'll hide your floor plan and just fill the screen with the list of items. We also have a side-by-side or horizontal view, if you prefer, where you put the list view on one side and the floor plan on the other. And I'll go ahead and set it back to a vertical split view for us here, where I've got my floor plan up top and my list of items underneath. So what I'm going to go through next is how to navigate throughout a project and get to an individual inspection area. To do that, we're going to go ahead and click on this icon underneath the clock here, and that's going to open up our navigation pane. So when I click on that, it opens up the navigation pane, and right now we're showing the units. I'm going to go ahead and use this back arrow to go up a level where we show the floors, and I'll go back up to the top level, which is our condos project. So one of the ways you can navigate is by using this arrow to the right. An arrow to the right means there's some levels underneath that. So if I click on the arrow to the right for condos, you'll see that it'll zoom down to the next level, which is floor 1 and floor 2. I can then use that arrow to the right for the floor 1, and it's going to go ahead and break it down to all our different floors and also any common areas that might be in there, such as the elevator lobby and stairs and so on and so forth. So you can use that drill down method to get down to an individual inspection area, and then you can click on the unit or the area you want to inspect. So I can click right here on 103, and it would bring up the 103 floor plan, and we can begin inspecting. There is a slight delay built into the program. It's built in there on purpose so you don't accidentally swipe or bump or do something you didn't want to do. So it's more of a touch, hold, and release than just quick pecking at the screen to do things. If you just peck at it, it won't respond. So that's one method of navigation. We call that the drill down method. We also have something called hotspots. And to use the hotspots, we'll go ahead and back up one level to the overall floor plans. And we can just click on either floor 1 or floor 2 on the name instead of the arrow to the right. And if I go ahead and click on floor 1 name, it'll bring up the overall floor 1 floor plan. And then we can use the hotspots and just click on any one of these units, jump to that unit. So I can click here on unit 105. And it'll bring up the 105 floor plan. What's really nice about using the hotspots on the overall floor plan is we can take advantage of this icon up here on the top that looks like a clock. If I click on that clock, it's going to give us a list of places we've recently visited, and we've just been to floor 1, so I can go ahead and click on the floor 1. It'll take us back to the floor 1 overall, and it'll show in red the unit we were just in, so we can go ahead and walk over and walk into the door of 103, so I can click on 103. We can inspect that unit. Then we can go ahead and use that recently visited icon and click on floor 1 again, and it'll show that we were just in 103. We can walk walk over and enter unit 101 and inspect in unit 101. So by using that recently visited and those hot spots, you can kind of navigate your way around a section of a floor or an entire floor that way. We have one other way we can navigate. We actually have a search function. So if we go ahead and we go back up to this navigation window up here, and we go ahead and click on this magnifying glass that comes up. That allows us to type something in that we're looking for. So maybe we're looking for unit 117. I can type in 117. It'll list any plan view with a 117 in it. In this case, we've just got the unit 117. And I can click on that and it'll jump right to the 117 unit. If you're done using that search feature, if you go back up to the navigation window and you hit this back arrow, it'll go ahead and clear your search and bring it back to the full list. And then we can go ahead and use this back arrow to go all the way back up to our condos, and I can close our navigation window by clicking on this icon up here. So those are kind of the 3 different ways you can navigate to an inspection area. You can use those drill down arrows to the right and just drill down through the tree to get to where you want. You can use the hot spots on the overall floor plans, and you can also use the search function. So you've got several ways you can use to try and find the area you're looking to inspect. Any questions on navigation? All right, I'll keep going. So once you navigate to the area where you're ready to do an inspection, we'll go ahead and go to unit 101 on floor 1. You can create an item just by touching on the screen. So that little green square is just where my finger is on the screen. And when you let go, it's going to go ahead and bring up our 3 lists here. Our first list is our inspection type, and our inspection type helps to control what's in this second row. So if you're doing interior, you won't find asphalt or roofing or landscaping. And if I were to switch it over to exterior, you won't find cabinets and carpet and ceiling issues. So once you choose your inspection type, you can go ahead and choose from the second group, which is our task or our trade here. So we'll go ahead and find ourselves an electrical power lighting issue. And when you choose your task, it brings up the third row, which is the issue you're finding. And all of them usually have one that is a user defined. So if there's something missing from your list, you can always choose user defined and type something into the comments there. So in our case, we'll go ahead and say inoperative. So once you go ahead and choose your inspection type, your task, and your description, it puts them in this box here, and then it puts in some default information for us. We're hoping most of the time the default information is correct, and you can go ahead and hit Save Changes, and it'll put the dot on the floor plan and put the information about that punch down here in the list. We'll go ahead and create another item here. It's going to remember what we did last time, that we did electrical inoperative, and it's going to put that information in there. If you want to change any of that, you can click on the box, and it'll bring up our 3 lists again. And you can go ahead and choose, maybe this time we want it to be door frame hardware, and it's loose. And once again, it's going to put in our defaults here. The first default it puts in there is an action. And we use the action to tell the subcontractor what we want them to do to fix this issue, whether we want them to clean it, paint it, add it, remove it, so on and so forth. We can change the default action that comes up. Maybe we don't want them to tighten this one when it's loose. Maybe we want them to replace it. So you can go ahead and find your list here, and we can go ahead and say this one, we actually want them to replace it. We also have a default location that comes up. We use the location to help identify on that 2-dimensional drawing where something might be in our 3-dimensional world. So there's a dot on a floor plan in the corner of a room. Subcontractor may say, hey, I don't know exactly where it is, but if you tell them it's on the baseboard or the ceiling or a handle or a shelf, you can be very particular about where the issue is to help them find it. And then it puts in a default subcontractor for us. In this case, it's assigning all of the door frames hardware to Casey's Casework. Once again, we can change the sub it's assigned to. Maybe this one's supposed to be Doors R Us. We can change that as well. And then we have a default due date that comes up, which is usually 7 days after the item's created. And we can change that as well by clicking on it. Maybe we only want to give them till the 10th. And the thing with the due date, if you change that due date, it's going to remember that due date for the rest of the punches you create till you log out. So you'll see the rest of the examples I create are also going to say April 10th on it. So once again, we've created ourselves another item here, and we changed some of the defaults there, and we can go ahead and hit Save Changes, and we'll go ahead and put our dot here, and we'll put the list down here. We'll go ahead and create another item up here. It knew that I clicked in the bedroom space within the unit, so it put that in there for bedroom 1. And I also have a spot where I can put a quantity. Maybe you've got some light bulbs that are burnt out and you want to let them know they need 4 of them. You can add a quantity in there and print that out on reports. We also have a spot for a work order number. If you want to add a work order number, maybe you've got a bunch of items that are assigned to the same work order number. You could run a report on just the items assigned to that work order number. So it can be used to tie a bunch of punches together. Some people will even use this for a warranty number. So you can put a warranty number in there and we can print that out in the report, and we can even call it warranty report, or warranty number on the report. And then we have a spot for comments in case the drop downs don't give enough information. Maybe this one needs to be blue. We can always type that in the comments there. And then we can go ahead and save this item. And we've got some comments and some quantities and stuff. We'll go ahead and create another item. We'll do one down here in the bathroom. We'll do ourselves a plumbing issue. And we'll just go ahead and say it's inoperative. Puts in all our defaults, and you'll see it did carry that due date over, so it's putting the 10th of April, because that's what we set the last one to. So what I'm going to go over next is how to attach things such as photos to a punch. You can access the attachments in 2 different ways. You can either click on this Files tab up top, or you can click on this icon down at the bottom with the plus on it. So if I go ahead and click on this plus at the bottom, it'll bring up our 4 options for attachments. And the first one there that says camera, if we click on that one, it's going to go ahead and bring up our camera here. We'll go ahead and get a picture of my phone. And we'll go ahead and say use photo, and it's going to go ahead and bring it up in an editor page. So at this point, you can go ahead and rotate it using the rotate button. If you happen to have your camera sideways or upside down, you can rotate it to the correct orientation. You can add some circles and some squares to it. Maybe we want to put a circle around one of the keys. We can do that. You can choose the pencil, and then you can write right on it with your finger. You can even change the color of the pencil. We'll make this one green. And the thickness of the pencil. So you can get real creative with your markups. You can even add a comment in there to go along with the picture. And then when you go to save it, the first time you go to save it, it's going to go ahead and ask you if you want to bypass the editor. We had several clients that let us know they were taking a lot of pictures, but they never mark them up. It would save them a little bit of time if they could skip that editor each time. I'm going to go ahead and say go to editor so that we can keep using it. You can also turn that editor on and off through the settings. I'll go ahead and save this one and show you where you can access that. So up here on the top right, this icon with the 3 lines on it, if I click on that, you'll see an option here that says settings. One of the ones here on the left now, you'll see that says app settings. You'll go ahead and see that you do have this option here to skip image editor when taking a new photo. So that can also be turned on and off through the settings from the icon in the top right here with the 3 lines on it. We'll go ahead and create another item here, and we'll go back to our attachments here. We'll click on that plus at the bottom. And this time we'll go ahead and choose annotation. Annotation allows you to mark up the floor plan. So when I choose that one, it's going to ask me if we want to include the items or the punches that we've already created. We'll go ahead and say yes, so we can see the punches on there that we've created. So you can see all the punches are included in the floor plan. So now you can mark up the floor plan. Maybe we want to show there needs to be a wall here. This door needs to open the other way, so on and so forth. So you can mark up your floor plan and save the changes. And that'll go out with the reports when you send it out. Also, when you take photos and mark up floor plans, these thumbnails up here, you can click on them and it'll open them back up in the editor. So I can open that up, we'll change that to a darker color, and you can mark it up further and save changes. So you can always edit them further by clicking on the thumbnail. My third option here is File. On Apple products such as the iPad that I'm using, I can only access my photos. So if I've taken a photo outside of Finish Line, I can attach that photo to a punch. But on your Android devices, your Windows devices, your desktops, you can attach most of your standard files, such as PDF files, Excel spreadsheets, and Word documents. But if I click on File, it'll only open up my photos here. I can add a photo that I've taken recently outside of Finish Line and save changes on that. So our fourth and final option for attachment is a signature. So you'll see down here at the bottom, I can choose signature, and when I choose that one, it'll go ahead and bring up a signature page here, and you can just have somebody sign it with their finger. And it's going to go ahead and put the date that that signature was captured, and the name of the person that was logged in when that signature was captured will go in the comments here. This is real useful for like an owner walkthrough. If you want them to sign off on something you did, you can capture their signature in Finish Line on that punch here. And we'll go ahead and hit Save Changes. So we saved that edited photo, and we can go ahead and save this punch by clicking Save Changes. And you'll notice down here that the last two items we created, it shows a paperclip next to the punch, lets us know that there's an attachment, whether it's a photo or a marked up floor plan. Also on most phones and tablets, there's a function for zooming in where you can put two fingers together and move them apart and it zooms in, and then we can kind of slide it around. So if you wanted to get right in on this bathroom sink and create an item, you could do that. And when you zoom in on the floor plan, if you were to go ahead and annotate the floor plan, we'll say note including the items, it will go ahead and bring up a zoomed in section that you can mark up. So maybe you want to move this over there, remove that, so on and so forth. So you can actually mark up a zoomed in section of the floor plan by zooming in before you're creating the punch and annotating it. So those are kind of the four different things we can do and attach to a punch. Does anybody have any questions? All right, I'll keep going. We do have a function to zoom back out to 100% if you've zoomed in like I have. You can do that by clicking on this triangle at the right and bringing up the ribbon, and you'll see there is one that says full display. Also on this ribbon, we have the ability to identify what these different colored dots mean. So you see we've got a green one here, we've got a red one, and then the ones I've been creating are blue. So if I click on this triangle over on the right, and I go ahead and click where it says legend, it'll go ahead and tell us that the blue ones are a GC, the red ones are owner, and the green ones are architect. So if you see some different colors and shapes in there, you can always open up that ribbon and click on legend to see what they are identified as. Also down here at the bottom, the information we're displaying for each punch can be changed. We can change that by clicking on this icon down here in the bottom right. And it'll bring up a list of all the information we can display. So maybe we don't want to show the priority, the space, or the location right now, but we do want to see who it was created by. And we also want to see the inspection type. And then we can hit save. And now we've hidden some of the rows here, but we are showing the inspection type, which is interior for all of these. And these were created by demo, and the owner one was created by the owner. Couple of things we can do to create items a little quicker are copy function. One of the ways we can copy items to the same floor plan is by clicking on this little triangle on the right. Click on manual add, and we can switch it from manual add, which is at the top of the list, to the second one, which is copy by dragging. And then we can close the ribbon by clicking on the triangle. And now we can just drag items. So if we got an item exactly like number 2 on the other side of the balcony, I can just drag it down. And when I let go, it's going to create a copy of it with the same information, but give it the next dot number available. So I can do that with number 3 and drag it upward. So we can create items really quick that way. And then if we're done, we can always go back to copy mode here, change it back to manual add. And the next item we create will bring up our list. And we can say we've got an improper electrical and save changes. And we also have a way where you can copy items to other floor plans. So if we have an item that we want to copy, say item number 6 here, just put a check mark in the box next to it. And we can actually do it for more than one. So maybe we want to copy item 6 and item 9 to some different units. Go ahead and put a check mark in them, and then choose this icon down here at the bottom, which is the double box. And it'll go ahead and bring up our entire project. And we can go through and say, okay, we want to copy that item over into unit 104, 105, 109, 10, 11, 12, and hit copy. And now it's copied those 2 work orders over into units 109, 110, all the ones that we chose. So you can copy to other floor plans. So maybe you want to say clean throughout. That's a good one that you could copy to all units. And that way they'd have to mark it off on each unit as they went through and did it. So those are 2 ways you can copy. You can copy on a floor plan to another spot on the same floor plan, but we also have the option to copy from this floor plan over to multiple other floor plans. So what I'll show you next is how to create and use a favorite. So to create a favorite, we go ahead and create the first item. So we'll go ahead and create a painting issue. Maybe we've got somebody new out there learning to paint. They're not doing a very good job. We'll say there's a drip on the wall. We'll even add a comment here. So you go ahead and create your first item, and then you go ahead and save it. And then you need to open it back up. You can open it back up either by clicking on the dot on the floor plan, or you can find it in the list underneath and click on it in the list underneath and open it back up. And now to turn this into one of our favorites, we can go ahead and click on this icon at the bottom, which is the star. So when I click on that star, it's going to go ahead and ask me if I'm sure I want to add this to our favorites list. And we're going to go ahead and say OK, because we do want to add it to our favorites. It tells us it's been added to our favorites, and we can go ahead and save changes. So now to access our favorites list, we're going to go ahead and open up this ribbon again by clicking on the triangle. And we'll go ahead and choose that first option there that says manual add. And we're going to go ahead and switch it over to this third option, which is add favorite. Once you've chosen to add favorite, you can go ahead and choose from your list of favorites. Right now, I just have that painting one. I can click on that, close the ribbon, and now anywhere I tap on the screen, it's going to go ahead and create one of those painting issues without having to fill out the list. So this is really good for things you just see happening over and over, maybe stains on the floor, missing cover plates, or painting issues such as I created there. You can just grab your favorite and bing, 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 create item really quick that way. If you're done using your favorite, you can always switch back to manual add, and the next item that you create will bring up the list. Then we can say, okay, we've got ourselves another electric issue, and this one's incomplete, and save changes. So at this point, everything we've done is just on our phone or tablet. So you need to sync up. So you go back to wherever you have wireless, whether it's your office or somewhere else, connect to wireless, and then sync up. To sync, you go ahead and hit this cloud up top, and it'll send all that information up to the server. And if there's any updated information on the server, whether it's new floor plans, new subs, updated files, so on and so forth, it'll bring all that down to your tablet here. And syncing usually takes less than a minute, but if you have maybe hundreds of photos, it might take a little bit longer. Photos are the only thing that really take any time to sync over wireless. And now we're all synced up. So next I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my computer here, and we're going to go ahead and go into the reporting and show you how to distribute a report to a sub. So everybody has their own website. We create one for every company. I'm at our demo, so we're at the demo site, and it'll bring up a welcome screen here, and we can log in with the same information that we did on our tablet. So when you first log in, it's going to go ahead and bring up our dashboard. I'm not going to go into any details on the dashboard during this, but if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. I'm going to go to the reports, and we're going to go ahead and say create new report. And to create a report, the only thing you really need to do is choose the area you want to report on. Since we've been doing just floor 1, unit 101, I'll go ahead and choose 101. And then you can go ahead and hit create report. And the first thing it's going to do is give us a preview here. So it'll show the floor plan with the dot locations and then description underneath. And then if we have any photos or attachments that we've done, it'll show those as well, signatures and so on and so forth. So if everything looks good, you can go ahead and click on the produce or email report link up top, and it gives you 2 options. You do have the option to do a single report. If you just want to create a report for yourself or something to share with somebody, you could do that. But what people do most of the time is they choose to break down that report for each sub. And then it'll go ahead and list the subcontractor company names such as Shockey's Electric, Good Coat Painting, Drywall Dudes, and the email address or addresses that that report would be sent to. And then you'll see one that has the company name in complete at the end of it, and that'll be emailed to whoever's creating the report. So it actually prints out every item twice, as you'll see here when I create report. It prints out once for the sub and then once for whoever's creating the report. And so now I'll go ahead and click generate report, and it'll go ahead and create the PDF files that can be emailed out to each of the subs. So once again, it's going to show the name of the company here, the email address or addresses we sent to, and then the PDF is here, and here's the size of the PDF. You can CC somebody, and they'll get a copy of every one of these reports. You can change the subject of the report. Punch list for April. You can change the body of the email that's going to go out to everybody. Need all completed by Friday, re-inspecting on Tuesday. So you can go ahead and put your own personal messages in the emails that are going to go out to all the subs. I'll go ahead and open up one of these reports so you can kind of see what one of the PDFs look like that the sub will receive in their. We'll open up the plumber's report here. And so the sub has several ways that they can let you know that they've done their part. They can print out this report and they can initial the ones they've done. They can log in on the website. They can log in on an app and mark all their items and put them into a state we call pending final. I'm not going to go into details on that today, but the subs have several ways that they can participate. But this is what the PDF file would look like that they would get emailed. It shows the floor plan, the locations, spots for initials, and any attachments that we've added to it. So one of the things you can do if you want to make your report smaller, if you choose the subcontractors here, you can go ahead and choose all of them and then uncheck the one that ends in complete. In our demo, it's called finish line complete. Yours will be something else. And then it won't print it out for whoever's creating the report, and it'll cut your report size in half. So a lot of people like to do this where you select all the subs and then unselect the one that is for your inspectors or the person creating the report. And that cuts the report size down in half that it's generating. All right, so we do keep track of all these reports. So if you hover over reports and you go down to email tracking, we will have a list. We haven't sent any reports out from our demo, but if we had, it would go ahead and say who you sent it to, when it was sent. It would keep a copy of the report, and it would also show whether they had their server has received it and whether they had opened it. So if a sub tells you that this item wasn't on their report 3 months ago, you can always go in here to the email tracking of the reports and say, hey, yeah, you received this 3 months ago, you opened it, and it was on your report. Here's a copy of it. And tell them they have no excuses for not getting it done. I'm going to go ahead and bring my iPad back up over here, show you a couple more things. We do also keep track of everything that's done to a punch. So if I go to this architect item here, the green dot one, and open it up, I can get it there. You'll see here under logs, it says there's 12 things that have happened to this item. If I click on logs here, you'll go ahead and see that the subcontractor changed from Long Last Flooring to Make It Safe on 4/8 at 9:53, and the person that did it was the demo webinar. They also changed the comment at 9:58. If the status changed, so you can always see who completed an item or changed anything about it in case you're saying, well, this wasn't done, who marked it off as done. You can always look at the log there and find out who did it. Or if they changed your subcontractor, you can see who it was assigned to originally and who changed it. So I'll show you also how we can complete items. So we've gone out, we've created a bunch of items, we did a sync, we send out a report to all our subs, subs went and fixed a bunch of items. So now we can go out and look at these items, say, okay, item number 2, it's been completed correctly. We'll go ahead and open that up. And then we'll say, okay, it's done. We can go ahead and give it the check mark down here at the bottom. And that completes the item, and you'll see it's disappeared from our list. Our default is to show only open and pending final items, because you get towards the end of the project, all of your items, most of them will be completed. You only have a few open ones you're still dealing with. We can show our completed items by clicking on this icon up here. It looks like a funnel, and changing the filter for the status from open to all status and hit apply. And so now you'll see the completed items 1 and 2 there. So we can also mark several of these as completed at once. So if we put a check mark next to them, and then go ahead and hit the check mark at the bottom, it'll go ahead and make all 3 of those items completed at once. If you accidentally completed an item, such as number 5, we can go ahead and uncomplete it by clicking on this X here at the bottom. And then that'll take that item back to open, and it'll go out in our next report we send out. I've had a request to show how to assign one item to 2 subs, so I'll show you that. So maybe we got an item here. We'll go ahead and create an item. Say we got a drywall item, and we're going to go ahead and say that it was a poor cutout. And you'll see here it's going to go ahead and assign it to the drywall dudes to repair and replace it. But if we want to go ahead and also say, hey, we need the painter to paint it, we can click on this details tab up here on the top left. This will show all the stuff. Right now it's repair replace. That's going to be assigned to whoever the punch is. But we can add another, what we call action, by clicking on this plus down here. So maybe we want to go ahead and add another action that's paint. So now we can go ahead and say paint. And we can go ahead and choose which sub will be assigned to that. So we can go ahead and find our painter in here. I know I've got a painter listed here somewhere. We'll go ahead and just say that it's general contractor and save changes. So now when the report goes out, it's going to send it to 2 different subs. It's going to go ahead and send it to the drywall dudes and the painter. And we could always add more. Maybe we also want to add one that's clean, so we know that somebody needs to come in and clean it after it's done. And we can assign that to our, to our subcontractor of ABC Cleaning and save changes. And save it. And so now it would go out to several different people. So that's how you can assign a item to several subs. And once again, we've gone out, we've created some items, we've completed some items. We will need to go ahead and sync up, and it'll send all that information up to the server, and anybody else's punches that have been sent to the server will bring those down so you can see those as well. I'll show you one last thing here, and then we'll be all done with today's webinar, and I'll be open to questions. Our filter here can be very powerful. I can filter out by subs. If I go ahead and filter out by our electrical company here, we'll go ahead and choose Shockey's Electric here is the electric company we've been using, and apply. It'll hide everything that's not assigned to Shockey's Electric. Not only does it apply to the view we're looking at, if I go ahead and go to the navigation tree here, it'll give us totals for Shockey Electric. So you'll see that they've got 2 completed items and 5 open in 101. They've got 1 open item in 104 and 1 open item in 105. So it can be very powerful using a combination between the filter and the navigation tree to find the items that belong to a specific sub or task, so on and so forth. So that was everything that I had planned for showing you today. Does anybody have any questions or comments for me? We've left a few minutes here open to questions here if anybody wants to ask any.
If nobody has a question, can you show real quickly for those people that cover high rises our QR capability?
Yes, so we can create QR codes. That's an administrative function here. So let me log out and log into our QR codes here. So we can print out QR codes for each plan view that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our administration, go into plan views here. And you can choose the area. So if I wanted to do all of them for the floor 1 of the condos here, I could select them. And then down at the very bottom here, in our drop down, we have one that says generate QR codes and continue. So we'll go ahead and create 4 across. And when I create generate, it'll go ahead and create QR codes, which you can then print out, cut up, and stick somewhere in the unit. And the way that works then, I'll go ahead and bring my iPad back up here. And that works with our navigation here. So if I go ahead and click on the navigation screen here, you'll see that there's the search function here. When I choose that search function, there is the QR code there. So if I click on that, it'll bring up my camera and I can zoom in on one of those codes. I zoomed in on the 108 code and it jumped right to that floor plan. So that helps people make sure they're in the right room before inspecting by using the QR code stuck to the door jamb or wherever you want to put it. They can just scan it with their camera and it'll jump right to that floor plan. And if you need help printing out these QR codes or need any further help from me, just let me know. I can help you print those out and show you how they work again if you'd like. All right, do we have any other questions or suggestions from anybody at this point? All right, well, thank you everybody for your time. I hope you learned something new today. And if you need to email me or call me or anybody at our company, feel free to do that. We are running it full staff right now. And good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, goodbye, everybody.